Here we go!
Hello there my dudes, it's GamerBlake90, proud chief of the Blue Blurs. You'll never guess what I've got lined up for you next, or maybe you can. It's another Sonic news video, and we've been pumping out an awful lot of these within the past week or so. Much more often than I typically do actually, as there's quite a bit of time in between each of my Sonic news videos. I hadn't intended for them to become a regular thing on this channel, but looks like that's the direction we're going, but that works out just fine for me. Any excuse I can get to talk about Sonic, I will gladly take. With the Sonic Central Direct behind us, and more exciting announcements coming our way, there will be lots of discussions to be had about Sonic. We'll be waiting another 2 weeks before we hear anything else official from Sega, as Sonic will be at the Summer Game Fest, and presumably E3 as well, since Sega will be there too, and it just broken open the floodgates for Sonic news. And because they did that, I can't imagine them shying away from the subject once E3 starts up. Strap yourselves in guys, this summer is about to be wild. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, I expect to be rolling out a lot more videos talking about everything that was showcased during the Sonic Central Direct, which just wrapped up earlier this week. My other types of content, mainly playthroughs and mod showcases, will continue as well, but some I may end up delaying for until the next day or so because I went back and counted up the number of uploads I put out within the past week, and it all added up to 12 videos, the most I've ever posted within the span of 7 days. This channel has been picking up speed. Looks like all those lessons from Sonic are paying off. But none of this would be possible without any of you people on the other end of the screen. And for that, y'all are amazing, and I can't thank you enough. If you do enjoy my content, friendly reminder to drop those likes and comments, and consider hitting that sub button and ringing that bell so y'all don't miss out on anything. Anyway, I went for like 2 minutes without touching upon the subject intended for this video. So, time to speed up! So, what are we talking about this time? Well, unlike when I did my video where I gave my complete thoughts on the Sonic Central Direct, I'm only going to be focusing on one subject that came up during the Direct this time, rather than a multitude of them. And that would be what is currently the talk of the town, the new Sonic game coming out next year. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. That teaser clip we saw at the very end of the Direct didn't exactly show us a whole lot, so what all do we have to talk about it? From the clip itself, not a whole lot. But ever since the Direct wrapped up, fans immediately started trying to decode what was shown to us in that clip. But Sega inadvertently gave us a hand in the hunt for information. I sort of feel bad discussing this, as I highly doubt they intended for the title of the new Sonic game to be known right away, but it's out there. So there you go. Discussions over the new Sonic game took quite a turn when an interesting post surfaced on Twitter. An inside look at files related to the new Sonic game. It's displayed in the language of coding, which I'm not terribly adept at reading, but we can see here that all 6 of these lines have one thing in common. The word Rangers. My first thoughts were that this could be a placeholder name, until I took notice of another event that happened. The day the Sonic Central Direct happened, press releases were accidentally sent out to a variety of news outlets. Well, the wrong one was sent out anyway. The one they'd intended to send out wasn't meant to name the Sonic game that was slated for a 2022 release date, but apparently there was a lapse in communication because an oopsie was made. The incorrect release that was sent out spoke of everything that was shared during the Direct, while also proceeding to name the Sonic game that was teased at the very end. The name matches up with the files that were listed on that Twitter post. Sonic Rangers. So, barring potential changes that may come up during the development cycle, it looks like we know what the next game is going to be. Sonic Rangers. So what, is Sonic about to get a crossover with Power Rangers? Are we gonna get Megazords next? Oh wait, technically, Eggman already has us covered in that regard. I figured y'all were expecting a Power Rangers joke when we named off the new Sonic game, so I didn't want to disappoint. And don't worry, the internet isn't slacking either. Now I won't lie to you, when I first heard the name Sonic Rangers, I became anxious that Sonic Forces may have influenced this next game somehow. But then it came back to my senses. A game is so much more than the name given to it. It isn't so much about the label of the package, as it is about what's inside the package. And as it stands, we don't know what's inside the package. Well, we don't, but apparently some do. I wasn't aware of it up until now, but apparently there were people who had playtested the game and shared their findings over websites like 4chan. As to who shared them? Well, no idea because they chose to remain anonymous. Now, before you prepare to click off this video because I brought up 4chan, let me clear some things up. Similar to when I referenced Zippo's leak in my video about the Sonic Collection before it was confirmed by Sega themselves, I am not portraying their information as factual. No matter how convincing it may seem, I've always adopted the approach of listening only to the official source. That said, I feel a little confident in bringing this up for two reasons. First, as was said a bit ago, the leak about the Sonic Collection was proven to be correct, but of course that doesn't mean that every leaker will be right about everything, just as every inaccurate leak doesn't invalidate all other leaks. It's purely a case-by-case basis. Some will be right, others won't be. That's just the way it is. Secondly, there's not one, but two posts, as far as I'm aware of, that are pretty much echoing the same information about what they've supposedly glimpsed of the new game. Which I guess we'll call Sonic Rangers from here on out. That's still gonna take some getting used to. Like every time I say it, I can't get this image of Sonic in a blue Power Ranger suit out of my head. I'm not throwing any shade at the name, by the way, I just find it funny. But yeah, take everything that is shared by the anonymous sources with a grain of salt until we hear more from Sega. And once we finish going over this information, I want to go back to the trailer itself and share my thoughts on it. I technically did that already when I gave my thoughts about the Direct itself, but I do have a little more to add to my initial thoughts, so here we go. So we're gonna start with this post that was left on January 6, 2021, so not that long ago. The poster starts by naming the new Sonic game as Sonic Rangers, and then proceed to describe it as an open world adventure game. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves yet. An open world adventure game which takes heavy inspiration from Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, the description kind of lines up with what we've seen in the teaser at the end of the Sonic Central Direct. Looked like a vast expanse of green in a dense forested region. Definitely the kind of scenery that you would glimpse in Breath of the Wild. Mind you, I never finished that game. I know, I need to do some catching up with the sequel on the way. But it's a great game, and I intend to finish it at some point. So continuing on, Sonic Rangers is allegedly going to be an open world game that is populated with small enemies, puzzles, and platforming challenges. Sonic as a puzzle solver, okay man, okay. Completing puzzles and defeating enemies will reward you with experience which can be redeemed in a skill tree. Okay, Sega, be real here. Have you been playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Not that anyone here would blame you, I'm pretty sure that Square Enix would consider it as the epitome of flattery that a note was taken from them. Either that or it's one huge coincidence, so don't mind this too much. Nurturing the skill tree will unlock extra ability for Sonic, including one where you hold down a button to trace a line as he moves around, and if you finish a circle, it attacks all enemies within that circle. Whoa! Sonic Robo Blast 2 found its way into this game, oh boy! If you didn't understand the comparison, I'll explain. When you play the special stages in Robo Blast 2, if you complete a circle, all collectible items inside that circle will immediately come flying towards you, sort of like an electric shield property. Granted, this variant of the feature works on enemies rather than collectibles, but, well, yeah, still some similarities, right? The lock-on attack returns. Obviously, this means a homing attack, there's not a lot more to be said here. Bosses are plastered throughout the open world. As you defeat each of them, you gain orbs, and if you get enough orbs, you can go to a portal that takes you to cyberspace. Cyberspace. So, was that the reason for the aura around Sonic's body in the teaser clip? Was he teleporting into cyberspace as he ran through the forest? It's not the effect of a wisp? Interesting. As to how these cyberspace levels will play out, apparently they follow the style of Sonic Generations, and they had banger music. Well, it's a Sonic game, why wouldn't it have banger music? Though I will admit there are a few Sonic games that don't quite follow that pattern. Not even close. Arrgh, go away, Sonic Spinball. I don't need my ears assaulted by your options theme ever again. So apparently these cyberspace levels will be the equivalent of time attack challenges, as if you complete them fast enough, you will get a Chaos Emerald! Now, again, assuming that this is true, it might be, it might not be, the Chaos Emeralds are finally back. because Mania and Generations aside, they've been painfully absent throughout the entirety of the meta era, which was just absurd because it was such a monumental part of the Sonic lore. They had no business being removed from it altogether. There's just no way. Like, it was already bad enough that Tails' character development basically got thrown in the trash, along with the existence of Angel Island and the Master Emerald. Come on, bring them all back! And from what I've read of this post, Super Sonic makes a return as well, not as DLC, thank God. But we'll touch upon that later. So back to the post. Apparently the exploration and combat systems are super boring, very button mashy, but whatever. Uh-oh, this is mildly concerning. Now, I've always said the controls being simple is key to attracting new players, but you don't want to make them too simple, right? There's gotta be some depth to them. So if this is true, I hope this gets changed up. But we are well over a year away from the official release date, provided that it doesn't get delayed, so plenty of time to change things up. At least that's what I'm hoping for. It's not that being simple is a bad thing, it's just you gotta find a way to make it accessible but interesting all at once. You know what I mean? The classic Sonic games completely nail this example head on. They're simple, but full of depth. So it's new voice acting by Roger, but nobody else yet, so we're definitely sticking to the general theme at least. I don't think I understand what they meant by general theme exactly, but all I can say is, I hope it doesn't translate to them following the trends established by the meta era, because if so, that already makes me not look forward to the dialogue. But I could be completely misunderstanding what they meant by general theme, so let's not get too deep into it. And now for some notes about the final boss. Collecting all the emeralds allows you to access this final boss in the open world. And apparently the boss itself is a gigantic tree robot thing. What is it, a mechanized Deku tree or something like that? I mean, if we're going to take inspiration from Breath of the Wild, we may as well go all out with Zelda comparisons. No holds barred. So with Super Sonic, you fight this boss by flying all around it, utilizing all the abilities that you've unlocked throughout the game, and a large part of it is mainly mashing buttons. I can't imagine the final boss fight being that simplistic, there's got to be more to it. As Super Sonic, you can't take damage, but you're on a timer of rings, and a ghost girl refills your ring count multiple times? Wait a minute here. Who is this ghost girl? Why do I get the feeling that they're recycling the concept of Tikal from Sonic Adventure? Because though she didn't look like a ghost at first glance, that's more or less what she was, an echo from the past, who kept herself sustained in the present long enough to see Sonic put an end to the threat of chaos. I want to hope that they're bringing back Tikal, because then it would be a full-on reference to the adventure games, but somehow I don't think that's going to be the case. We're probably going to get a new character entirely. Assuming, of course, that the post we've been reading up until now holds up to be accurate, which it may well be due to another reason that we'll get to later. And so the demo ended after beating the gigantic tree robot thing. It apparently played very rough, but it was early on development, so of course it would, that tends to be par for the course. And the post ends there. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Back during the 6th of August last year, a post that is more or less identical to the one I just read off was also shared, but with some variants. It offers more of a description about the open world area that we'll be playing through, describing it as a gloomy, grassy, uninhabited island dotted with ruins. An island, a grassy, uninhabited island that is also gloomy. You all can probably guess what I'm thinking. I'm trying really hard to contain myself right now, but they could be bringing back Angel Island. Oh my flippin' god, please bring back Angel Island. Just like with the Chaos Emeralds, that's been absent for as far as I can remember. It would be amazing to bring that back. But a Sonic team is apparently trying something new with this open world approach, which I can get behind. They've always had an affinity for trying new things. I don't think we're going to get Angel Island, as cool as that would be. It just so happened to fit the description that was outlined here, so I couldn't help but think of it when I first read this post. Still, I want Angel Island back. I want it back so bad. Apparently no story was involved in the demo, and I imagine it's still being worked on. They're just focusing on making the game as polished as it can be first, which is good. A great story is good and all, but we would like it to be accompanied by stable gameplay, and hopefully that's what we'll get in the final product. Stable and fun gameplay, that is. And that's pretty much it for all the quote-unquote information pertaining to Sonic Rangers. Some of it I'm hoping is true, other parts I'm hoping are not true. For as quiet as Sega was up until the Sonic Central Direct happened, It's clear that a lot of time and energy was invested into this game, and they are being very thorough about whatever changes are made to it. So, I remain optimistic that this next game will turn out to be awesome, but at the same time, I'm also quite nervous, I'm not even gonna front. Yes, Sonic has been enjoying his success as a multimedia icon, be it for the movies, comics, basically everything. But much earlier in the last decade, he'd been running over a lot of road bumps for being the fastest thing alive. Sega had been taking him through territory that just did not reflect the true nature of his character. Save for Generations and Mania, of course, but that largely involves celebrating his history, something that's already been established, so that isn't saying much. But whenever something new with Sonic was attempted, it, bombed, for lack of a better way to put it. The upside to this is that there are a lot of notes to be taken from the meta era, and I hope that Sega takes all of them to heart. In fact, they have to, because this next game that they're working on could be the game that makes it or breaks it for Sonic. That's a huge reason why I'm so nervous right now. Though we did get Sonic Mania, which definitely helped to reignite enthusiasm over Sonic, that game was still preceded and followed up by a lot of strange decisions for him. We can't have any more colossal downturns like what happened during the midpoint of the 2010s. We just can't. Because if we do, we could be back to where we were pre-Sonic Mania, and that would suck. Sonic Team said it themselves during the Direct. Sonic has inspired joy in countless others all around the world. Instead, you really couldn't go anywhere in the last decade without getting memed just for being a Sonic fan. And pardon my language, but that seriously me off. You see all of these talented people like artists, musicians, game developers, and so on and so forth, finding their calling to pursue their careers because of their enthusiasm over Sonic. Granted, you could say the same for many other game franchises out there, but you get my meaning, right? And I'm babbling at this point. Bottom line, I want Sonic to succeed. I'm sure I've made it crystal clear as to how important that is to me, and I'm sure it's important to many of you who are watching this video as well. It's been so frustrating to see Sonic take so many steps backwards when he is an icon that is known for moving forward. For once, he deserves to be met with success when delving into new territory as far as the games are concerned. And by God, that better happen. This character once had the potential to dethrone Mario for the title of Mr. Video Game. Nothing against Mario, by the way, I like the character as well. And although Sonic ultimately failed, much as it pains me as a fan to admit this, the fact remains, he once had a shot at doing just that. And provided we learn to take the right steps this time, I know that he can make another attempt at it this time around. We just need to know what we're doing. I cannot stress that nearly enough. But before we can do that, the Sonic franchise needs to find stable ground again. It's well on its way to doing exactly that if everything we've seen in the Sonic Central Direct was anything to go by, but a lot of work remains to be done. And with everything that's happened by now, I'm sure that Sega realizes just how crucial the success of its next game is, especially with the movie sequel and Sonic Prime coming up. We would want both of those things to be accompanied by a great game. Sonic deserves that much. Okay, let me reel myself back in. It's supposed to be a discussion video, not a rant video after all. I should also tell you that both of the posts I've read off about Sonic Rangers stand a pretty good chance of being true despite not being officially confirmed yet, and here's why. Around a year before Sonic Forces came out, a similar post surfaced on 4chan, and their prediction was 100% spot on, like there wasn't even anything wrong with it, except for the fact that Sonic Force was codenamed Sonic Wars at the time, and that would get changed to Forces later on. But other than that, yeah, they were completely accurate. So while I will not tell you take the supposed leaks about Sonic Rangers as fact just yet, I also would not dismiss them either. At least, not yet. At the moment it's a case of wait and see. I just couldn't help bringing myself to discuss this because, as I'm sure I made clear just minutes ago, the success of this next Sonic game is hugely important to me. I couldn't stop thinking about it ever since the Direct came to pass. It's definitely a good time to be a Sonic fan, whether you're a gamer, a comic buff, a movie buff, whatever else. Our blue boy is thriving right now, but the more he thrives, the more worried I get, because at times, success feels like a tower of cards. You misplace one card, and the whole thing comes crashing down. Not specific to Sonic, it can be said for any franchise, but yeah, you get where I'm coming from, right? Okay, now enough of discussing the leaks. Let's turn our attention back to a teaser clip from the next Sonic game. I mentioned before, but I wanted to make some additional observations about it. But if you watched my video where I gave my complete thoughts on the Direct, you may already know what those observations are, but don't worry, I've got some variants to bring up too. From watching this clip, I have a feeling the boost mechanic is rearing its head again, in one form or another. I know we already talked about the whole cyberspace thing, which may be the reason Sonic's body looks the way it does, with all the pixels around him as he's running through the forest. But the way he's also running makes me think that boosting will be involved again. It may either be reworked in the same fashion it was in 4th with a boost gauge and whatnot, or it might be reworked into something else entirely that will still prove relevant to the gameplay. In other words, it won't be a full-on boost game, but the ability to increase your speed at the press of a button may very well still be a thing. After all, Sonic Generations is among their more successful games at this very moment, and with Color's Ultimate poised to be a multi-platform release, guess what that game and Generations both have? That's right, the boost. So I can't imagine them removing its influence entirely from their catalog. Besides, they've done all they can with the boost formula, it's time to move on. But the more I thought about it, the more I started to think that the whole sentiment about the boost formula being overdone might be a little blown out of proportion. Let's think about this. Technically, the first boost games were Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventures, though nowadays they aren't commonly described as boost games despite having the boost mechanic. I never understood why, but okay. So yeah, both the Sonic Rush titles had the boost. I believe those came out in 2005 and 2007, unless anyone would like to correct me. Then you had Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors on the DS and on the Wii versions of course, then with Sonic Generations, and then right after Generations, they backed off the boost formula for Sonic Lost World. And I'm pretty sure they did the same thing for the Sonic Boom series, but I haven't really played any of the games, I just seen samples of footage from Rise of Lyric, but the boost mechanic looked painfully absent in them as well. So when you think about it, they went from like 2012 to 2017 without falling back to the boost formula, interestingly enough. They gave it a break for 5 years, and then attempted it again. So overdone? Maybe not. But at the same time, it strikes me as a pretty linear formula. It can work, as long as the level design accommodates it in a way that leaves plenty of room for depth. Sonic Colors, Unleashed, and Generations all pull this off very nicely. In fact, Unleashed is among my top 3 favorite Sonic games, so go figure. Another thing to think about is that a game being developed under the adventure formula isn't immediately qualified to be considered an open world game, just like how being a boost game doesn't immediately disqualify it from being an open world game. Adventure 1 had open world elements in Station Square, Mystic Ruins, and the Egg Carrier, but in Sonic Adventure 2, the adventure fields were completely absent, so it lacked the open world formula at that point, but the action stages more than made up for it. And then Sonic Unleashed, which was a boost game, you did have open worlds. You could visit each of the regions like Apatos, Begonia, and whatnot before actually diving into the stages. Not to mention they looked stunning. One possibility that comes to mind for the next Sonic game is that it could involve a lot more in the way of open world elements in comparison to its predecessors Adventure 1 and Unleashed. As if to say, it won't just give you open world hubs that'll immediately lead you to stages, it may require you to undergo a lot more exploration, much like how Breath of the Wild does. Regardless of where you stand in this subject, the concept of open world has its upsides and downsides, so it'll be interesting to see it put into practice for the Sonic series. Another thought that came to mind while watching the teaser clip repeatedly is that Sonic Team may have actually taken inspiration from Sonic's design from the adventure games. One reason is how his shoes look. I find it very interesting how they chose to have the camera zoom in very closely to Sonic's footwear as he's running through the forest. It's almost like they are deliberately hinting to us that shades of Sonic's adventure design will be showing their face again for the new Sonic game. And as a Sonic Adventure diehard myself, boy oh boy I really hope so. But look at the shoes. They look a lot longer than I remember them being throughout the entirety of the last decade. They definitely were like half their size in Sonic Colors for one, but this time around, they look lengthy and very, very bendy. What else does that remind you of? Now, this alone does not suggest anything about what the gameplay will be like for Sonic Rangers, or whatever the next game will be called, but hey, any callback to Sonic Adventure, I'll gladly take. Oh, but wait, there's more in the way of potential callbacks to the adventure design. It doesn't concern just the shoes. This is a little difficult to catch, but if you pause the trailer at a specific frame that comes up right after you see the close-up of the shoes, you could actually get a somewhat good look at Sonic's face, but only for like a split second. That's long enough for what we're looking for though. From this frame here, you can see that for this next game, they've decided to up the length of Sonic's quills, as they look a lot longer than I remember them being in Sonic Forces. Thank goodness, because Sonic with short quills just looked plainly weird to me. Maybe it's just me being too nitpicky for my own good, but either way, I was glad they resized his quills to similar proportions from his adventure days. I think it looks a lot cooler on him all around. This also made me realize something else. Do any of you remember that post that popped up a while back? The one subtitled Unstoppable for Generations and showing 3 different designs of Sonic? On the left you had classic Sonic, on the right you had modern Sonic, but in the middle you saw Sonic with an art style that very much resembled how he used to look during his Dreamcast/Adventure days. After watching Sonic Central, I looked through my folders for pictures to use my upcoming videos, including this one oddly enough. And while looking through that folder, I spotted the very same poster I just referenced. And it was then I realized that we'd essentially seen all 3 of these Sonic designs in the Direct. Like you had classic Sonic with the Sonic Origins collection, which is coming out next year apparently. Then you have modern Sonic for Sonic Colors Ultimate. But for the new game, we saw shades of his adventure design in the teaser clip. Once again, I don't know what that will say about the gameplay. It could be purely for the sake of visuals, but nevertheless, if these subtle edits to Sonic's appearance are any indication, we could finally be looking at a potential new render with which to advertise Sonic for the official game. Since 2008, we've pretty much been stuck with the same old render from modern Sonic ever since Sonic Unleashed was launched. Chalmix references this in his video called The Complete Sonic Art Style Retrospective. I highly recommend it, by the way. And in it he talks about how painfully overused the render was. And frankly, he's right. Sure, they changed up the pose for the render with each and every game, but that alone doesn't really do much to add to the variety, you know? Like in the earlier days of Sonic, you could almost always count on a different render popping up for Sonic with each and every game. But now, we've pretty much had the same style for like about 10 to 15 years. It never made any sense. It sure would be refreshing to get something new for the blue dude, and maybe that's what'll finally happen. Okay, we've got one more thing to cover from the trailer, and then we're done here. It mainly concerns a symbol that's been baffling the heck out of me ever since I first saw it in the teaser clip. You know, that weird symbol that Sonic drew into the ground with speed alone somehow? Crazy, right? No, I still haven't figured out what that symbol meant, and I probably won't for a while. It could be something in another language for all I know, and I'm not multilingual, so that's another barrier for me there. But during the speculation process, fans jokingly translated the symbol to be a unique way of spelling either the word zap or up. I'm sure people weren't being serious when they suggested this though, but for those who do think it could very well be accurate, nah. It doesn't work unless you take out the diagonal line at the very end of the symbol that otherwise could look like the letter G. Or better yet, that could be a leg of the letter A, which might be at the centerpiece of the symbol. But nah, I don't think these symbols are meant to represent alphabetical letters. I just don't think so. But one of the posts I'd read earlier was that Sonic Rangers takes place on a deserted island with ruins scattered across it. And ruins with symbols like this etched onto them. Doesn't that kind of make you think of the Chaos Emerald temples that were scattered all over the planet in Sonic Unleashed? Could it be that inspiration was taken from Unleashed story as well, in one way or another? Some of you might find the idea to be thrilling, whereas others will find it disappointing, but as someone who ranks Unleashed among his top 3 favorite games, I would be super happy if they are in fact taking elements of Unleashed story and weaving it into the fabric of Sonic Rangers. It would totally fit the tone of an open world game, assuming that is the direction Rangers is headed towards. One way or another though, we're definitely about to see an expansion in the Sonic lore, and I'm intrigued by it. Seriously, a game with elements of both Adventure and Unleashed, that would be so godlike. But anyway, as I don't have the skills necessary to translate ambiguous symbols like this one, there's not a lot more I can say about it, except for the fact that this could play an incredibly important part in the story to come. Though I might make another attempt at translating it when I get done with this video. Oh boy. And well, I think that's everything I have to say about Sonic Rangers. I did not anticipate this video being 30 minutes long, but boy do I get carried away. You might have caught on to this tendency I have if you've been watching my videos, but you know what? I don't care. I'm going all out. I'm excited for Sonic 30th, and there is no slowing me down. If you enjoyed everything I had to say in this video, I will repeat what I said earlier. Drop your likes and comments down below, and let me know your feedback. Do you think these predictions about Sonic Rangers, assuming that is the name they are going with for the next game, will hold up to be true? Or will there not? Could there be changes? And if so, to what extent? Let me know your thoughts. And with that, guys, I am going to take my leave, but I will see y'all in my next video, whether it be about Sonic 30th or something else entirely. Cause one way or another, we keeping that content train moving. Until then, see y'all next time, take care, blue blurs for life. Peace out.